And what I can do is I can add that link there, just like you saw the videos that I have for the other classes. I can add it and just label that for your classes. I'll put your name there so they can click on that and in order to, you know, review what I talked about here today.
Okay, thank you. All right, so don't lie down. Don't do other classes' homework. Okay, just take notes on what he's going to tell you. If I walk back there and you're doing some algebra, I'm going to have you stop. Okay, because this is what you're going to need for the rest of the year, all the way till May. And the more you know, the easier it'll be to get into different things. So every once in a while, I stop and ask a question, but you guys are entitled to. Mark, would you rather us wait till the end for question answer?
Yeah, that's up to you. I can go ahead. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, I can go ahead and start and show them those things, and then we can have a Q&A at the end. Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So so I'm Mark Love. I'm the director of the library at ACC. So I just want to show you some of the things you're going to need to know in order to complete your research assignment in this course. And then just showing you the library resources and just showing you what you need to use in order to complete your assignment. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go to so if you go on the pod page from ACC, I recommend you go to the library page that we have here within the pod. And what you're going to do is once you log into the pod, you'll go over to campus services and then you go down to library. Okay, so the reason why I recommend going through the pod page, library's pod page versus the public website or the webpage that we have on the ACC website is that the login information that you're going to need to know is listed here on the pod page. So I'm going to be showing you the EBSCO databases here. So EBSCO, this is the login that you're going to need to use. So this is a common question we get from a lot of students when they're working off campus is what is the login to EBSCO to get into the databases. So it's listed right here for you. That'll save you some time as far as needing that login. It's posted right there for you. Okay, so what you can do is click on the link here to EBSCO, which is over here under Access Our Databases. Or you can go down to our research subject guide here for English. So if we go down here under Humanities, there's going to be that first link listed. So English and Literature. And we'll go over the Databases tab. And then we'll scroll down and find EBSCO here. All right, so let's go here to EBSCO. All right. And so what we're going to do here, we're just going to type in our search topic here. Does anybody have a topic they would like for me to search for here?
Anybody have a topic? Something interesting? He'll show you how to find stuff, so somebody speak up. Okay, I'm having did anybody here do divorce? Okay, nobody did divorce. Anybody in here do vaping? Anybody in here do, I should have checked first. What was some of the popular sources? Like teenage dating? Did anybody do anything like that? Okay, Mark, just kind of go with what you have.
Okay, go through. All right. All right, so I'll go back to my death penalty example there, capital punishment. All right, so let's say that's your topic here. What you can do here is, and you can see here, it gives you some suggestions there, because of course you want to think about the keywords, breaking down your topic, think about the best way to describe that. So here with death penalty, we're going to look at death penalty. And you can go ahead, as you type it in there, it's going to give you some examples. So probably the best, and what I recommend is, in order to start with the broadest search possible, get the most results you can find, and then you can kind of narrow that from there. If we need to add in additional terms or alter it, then we can. But here, you see where it's using this OR word here. So this is telling the database to look for this term death penalty or a similar term like capital punishment or execution or death row. So it's going to pick up lots of articles that way. All right. So, and you can see here over 400,000 results. So the reason why I recommend that you go through our databases and go through our library resources is that we have thousands of articles that are available with the full text available. If you try to go out to Google and search for things, you're going to run into a lot of articles that are behind a paywall that you've got to subscribe to or buy the individual article. This is a way you can get to those sources because the library pays a subscription fee for students to be able to have access to all of these full text articles. And it's something that you sort of pay for indirectly, through your student fees is, what we have here. So this will allow you to access this full text for free.
Hey, Mark, for just
yeah.
a second, tell them that I do not want you guys to have to pay for anything. Okay, you shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to pay at all. Yeah. And so what you can do here, if under source type, so you don't need to. Now, some instructors require you to find articles from academic journals or peer-reviewed sources. You see the peer-reviewed button there. But for your purposes in this class, what you need to find is just credible, reliable sources. So you can either look for news articles or magazine articles. Those are probably going to be the easiest sources for you to find and use. So I would recommend starting with that, especially when you have a hot topic like this. If it's capital punishment, this is a good place to look here. So let's look at, we have over 200,000 news articles you can look at here. So this is talking about, a bishop in Florida that wants to end the death penalty there. So this is going to give you a good perspective on those who want to abolish death penalty. So what you can do here is, in order to get to the full text, you just click on where it says Access Now, PDF there. And there is the full text of the article. So what you can do from this point here is you can either download the article, or what I recommend for you to do is to save it. And you see this folder here where it says Add to Project. So what you're going to do there, this is going to allow you to keep track of the sources that you're, especially if you're not sure if you're going to use this one or not, because what we could do here, all right, so just create a MyEBSCO account. So you're just going to create a username and password, whatever, you want that to be. It doesn't have your student login. And so then you can begin adding items to that folder. And then you can go back in here, if we wanted to then, change up our search, we want to add in, Texas here, just focus on Texas, we could do that. But let's say we really liked this article here. We want to get back to that article. What we could do is just go back in through MyEBSCO in order to find that article. So, because a lot of times what happens is, if we changed up our search terms here, we did some additional searching, and we can't, because what we get, a lot of times the question we get in the library is, I found this really good article and I can't figure out how I found it, what search terms I use, can't figure out how to get back to it. So taking advantage of that folder feature is a good way to keep track of those articles when you find them. And that's, without having to print them out and so forth, you can just save them that way. You can also, of course, download them also to your hard drive as you find them. But building if you're going to be looking for multiple sources, and EBSCO is a database you're going to use for multiple assignments, so it's a good idea to go ahead and set up a MyEBSCO account here and begin saving your sources that way. Now, when you're here, another feature I want to point out is that citation feature. You can see the little quotation mark icon there at the top of the screen. So we're going to click on that. So this is going to help us cite our sources for our works cited page. So when you click on that, the default is APA. But what you're going to do is click on the drop-down menu, and you're going to go down and find MLA, which is what you're required to use for this course. So we're going to click on MLA. And then it's got the citation formatted there for you. So what you can do here is just click on where it says copy to clipboard. And then what I would suggest is going ahead and opening up your a Word document and go ahead and just copy that over there. And then you've got the citation, save it in that Word document, and then you've got it ready for you in your works cited page. And so that's a way in order to format these things correctly without having to look for examples or without having to look for the style manual. So this is a nice feature that's very helpful, very convenient, kind of helps save you some time when it comes time to putting together your works cited page. So something that you want to keep in mind is this little icon up here that says cite and a little quotation mark icon there.
Hey, Mark, can you get rid of
Yes.
that little box that says recording, or do I have to do that?
Is it up here at the top?
Uh-huh.
I don't think I can because if I I don't know. You can see if you can move it.
Yeah, I just don't
Yeah, it
wanna.
looks different on my end. So
All right, we're good. It's gone.
okay, all right. So let's go back here to the result list. So you might want to take a look at because news articles or magazine articles are a really good source, and they a lot of times will, especially if you're looking at kind of the pros and cons of an issue. Um, they'll have a lot of times they'll talk about both sides or talk about, both sides of an issue or quote people from both sides of the issue. So in addition to news articles, you can look at magazines. So what we'll do in order to look at magazines is just uncheck that box, click apply, and then let's go to source type, and then we're going to focus on magazines. All right, well, so here we're talking about, will Texas execute an innocent man? So this is going to kind of give you both sides of that story. This is from Rolling Stone magazine. Just click on the access now. All right, so some of them are PDF, which it almost looks like a photocopy of it. Some of them are just going to be, plain text, but it's still the same article. It's just from Rolling Stone. But a lot of times, a magazine like Rolling Stone, the full text is not going to be available. So this is something you can look at that we have access to here in the database. All right. So that's kind of how that works there. I mean, I think, between the newspaper and the magazine articles, you should be able to find what you need there. If you do want to look at more recent results, particularly whatever your topic is, you can go in here and adjust the date range. Like we might want to just look at if you have something that's from, let's see, well, most of these are from, let's see, 2020, but you might have some stuff that, yeah, here's from 2006. That may be too far back for, because that's 19 years ago now. So that may be too far back for your topic. So you could just look at the past 12 months, or let's say past 5 years. That'd be a way to weed out some of those older articles. So that's something more to keep in mind here is the date feature there. Okay. So I think that, again, for most of the topics that you have, EBSCO, you should be able to find what you need in EBSCO. There are some other options here as far as, let me leave this. All right, so let's go back to the English subject guide here. Okay, so some other information that you might need here as far as citing your sources. So if you do have a source that you didn't find in the database here, this talks about, some other examples of citing web sources. It also talks about using in-text citation. So that's something you're going to need to use when you're citing your sources within the body of your paper. So here, it shows how that should look there. There's some videos on how to do those things, about how your in-text citation should look according to MLA, how your works cited page should look. So those are definitely something that worth checking out there. The recording of today's session, I'm going to add it to the menu there, so you can review what I talked about here today. And so if you have questions as you go along, you can send me an email here from this subject guide. Also, if you have questions, you can go back to the pod page here. If you want to get, anytime the library is open, which we're open Monday through Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. So if you have questions, if you want a immediate response, you can type in your question there, click Start Chat, and you'll get a response right away to the question that you have. And we can do that there. And so if you are working on your assignment over the weekends, we do close, we are not open on the weekends, and we do close at 5 on Fridays, but you will still have an option. You can submit a question and we'll try to get to it over the weekend if we can. If not, we'll get back to you on Monday. So, but there is still an option there. You can go through the chat mechanism here and send us an email. And so that's primarily what you need to use. Now, if you do have a topic, and there might be a topic, depending on what it is, if it's something that's kind of obscure, maybe something that's not been talked about as much, maybe you had trouble finding sources for it. And now, if you have like a hot topic like death penalty or something like, you should be able to find plenty of articles, and you saw that there. Now, if you do need to use a web source, some things that you want to keep in mind here. Let me go in here. Let's look at. Just go to Google. So when you're searching, you just want to focus on credible sources. So if we're doing a death penalty search here, just through Google. You can see here, I mean, it's going to come up with news articles. Some of those you're going to be able to access, some of them you can't, as I mentioned. But a good rule of thumb is, here, this one would be a good one because it's a .org. So a lot of nonprofit sites are usually pretty credible sources. They're not .com. They're not a profit site. They're not not a business. It's not somebody's, individual opinion or something on it's gonna most of the time present some credible information. So the Death Penalty Information Center would be a good one for that. Also, now Wikipedia you could use maybe for some background information. Of course, that's not a source you can use just because anybody can edit that. Equal Justice Initiative, again, that's a .org. .gov.org, the White House would be a good site there to use. .edu, so if it comes from, this is from Cornell University, talking about the death penalty, that would be a good one to use as well. Here, this is from the California state government, any of those that can be used, or any library site, if it's a .edu or a museum. Here in this case, we're seeing a lot of for this topic, a lot of .gov, lots of, because we're talking about crime and punishment, so there's a lot of .gov, a lot of nonprofit sites, but like I said, .edus are good ones to use as well. You want to stay away, for the most part. Now, there can be some .coms that are credible, but and sometimes you have to just go through and kind of evaluate, if you are using a .com, as far as kind of who's behind it, and kind of analyze, who the authors are and so forth. Let me go back here. Let me show you on the research process guide. So if we go under subject guides here, we go down to research process. The research process subject guide kind of goes over, like, especially if you have, this is a good resource, especially if you haven't done a research paper before, you're kind of new to that. Talks about more information about developing your topic, identifying the key terms, and then evaluating sources, like we talked about, how you evaluate those sources. So this talks about this method here, which is the CRAAP method, where you look at currency, like when was the information created, the relevance, the authority, again, I mentioned as far as, how accurate it is, what is the purpose of the site, some different criteria you can look at if you are trying to use a .com source. That's a good way in order to evaluate that. And then there's got a lot more information about citing sources here as well. Also, I added a tab here talking about, using AI and how that plays into this. So I, should mention with AI, you have to be careful using that, especially if, you're researching, because sometimes it makes mistakes. give you citations to sources that don't exist. You can use it kind of like you do Wikipedia as far as getting some background information on a source or on a topic. You're going to get back. It'll give you some good background or an overview of a topic, but you want to be careful about using sources and using the citations that it gives. So if you are going to use any of those sources that it cites, you want to verify that they're actually accurate. um, and again, the problem with that is some of those sources you're going to run into are going to be behind a paywall. You're not going to be able to access them to double check, to verify the source. So again, it's not a bad idea to start with that to get some background information, but then go into the library databases when it gets time to actually search for the sources that you need. Okay, any other questions? And again, the link to EBSCO is also over here under Access Our Databases. If you don't want to go back to the subject guide, you can just click the link there. Any other questions?
What about somebody trying to throw out a topic that he can help you with? I was trying to look for some interesting ones. What
Okay.
about, wait, Mark, one of them that I found that could be difficult to find any
Okay.
information on, well, we talked about the college scam.
The college scam thing, yeah, we might need to go out. I wasn't seeing a whole lot in EBSCO. Let me go here. College
Well,
and scam. Let's
his
try that.
topic is college a scam, or is it like, or is it a pathway to opportunity? So maybe you could give us some of those keywords.
Yeah. Well, here we just using college and scam here. And again, you can try here and see. Like I said, I didn't see a whole lot earlier when we were searching, but I did want to give an example of if you can't find much here and you are going to Google, you want to focus on. Now, see here again, it's going to give you, this is AI, so it's giving you some examples or some overview of that, but you're going to want to focus on what you're finding here in the results. So obviously you're going to want to skip Reddit. You're not going to want to use social media. That's not an academic source. Okay, so here this is .edu. So this is one you can take a look at here. Kind of talks about kind of an overview of that. Um, okay, now this is talking about avoiding scams. It's not quite the same thing there. That was from Merrill Lynch. This is a reference to a book here. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a difficult one to, you would need to, if you wanted to use this site, EdSurge, you'd kind of need to evaluate whether this is going to be something that's, and this might be one, but we would need to kind of look at, EdSurge and kind of about like what this is exactly before we actually use that. That's going to be a more difficult topic.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at, if there are like magazines, articles. Let me go back in here. College. Okay, college or university or higher education. And then we'll add in scam or fraud. We'll see if we can find. I wasn't finding a whole lot earlier, though, on that. Let's see.
Well, I think this person is going to have to narrow down their topic and be more specific about what he's looking
Yeah.
at. And yeah, because I mean, who we don't even know from this who's he thinks is being scammed. Is it the student or the parent or the person? What you know what I mean? How about
Yeah, I mean that one is going to be a more difficult one. And yeah, and it may require narrowing it down to something, that's as far as because they could be talking about and probably what they're referring to is um you know the sort of the outcomes that you get. So you go through college, you get a degree, and then you're not able to find a job or be successful, and so that's kind of why I think there's that argument about, being a scam is that, you go through, you get a degree, and then you can't really, you're not successful at that point. So, you may need to break it down that way as far as, college and success rates or career readiness. There was a good one there, college and, career readiness, might be a better topic there as than what they had before.
Try peer pressure. That's a very broad topic, but I have several students. You know what I'm talking about, right? The peer pressure thing to
Peer
do.
pressure, yeah. Yeah. So, again, but as I mentioned, you would have to, it's a lot of times in what I mentioned, it's a lot of trial and error sometimes with topics. Tackling a topic really, and that's part of that developing process, as far as narrowing it down to something that you're actually going to be able to, find sources for and be really a topic that you're going to be able to really discuss and break down and be able to break down and find, terms that you're actually going to be able to search for. All right, yeah. So for peer pressure, all
I
right,
had
so
another question. What about, I'm thinking of encouraging my students not to just go with the first sources that they find, because, that's kind of a shortcut. And so, what do you think is a good time frame for these students to, find their best sources for these things, for their topics?
you mean as far as how quickly they should be able to find them, or
Oh yeah,
uh,
just a ballpark.
it shouldn't take too. It just depends again what the topic is. It's hard to say really. There's gonna be a lot of times a lot of the topics that they do find first at the top of the list, though, are going to be a lot of times the best sources for them because they sort these are sorted by relevance.
I did not know that. That's good to know.
So that's going to be, yeah. So that's okay if they find a source right at the top because a lot of times that's going to be fine. It's going to list the most relevant ones first. Yeah. Um, but again, so yeah, if you're doing an assignment, you probably want to give them, you want to give them some time, a
Yeah.
week or so in order to find sources or something, because it just depends on what their topic is. Now, if they have something like I mentioned, my example with the death penalties, that's something they can find easily. I got that done quickly. But if it's something that's more like we talked about the college and the scam thing, that's going to be something that's going to take more time to sort of develop the topic and, so they'll need at least probably, and a lot of times, they may need a lot more time than that as far as refining their topic and then being able to go out and find sources. So it could take them a couple of weeks, to get through that process. Um,
Okay, Mark, I
so
haven't been paying attention every minute. Have you shown them the folder idea?
yeah, I showed them
Okay,
that earlier. Uh-huh.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so for peer pressure here, there's a lot of stuff here. Again, the scholarly journals might be too in depth for what they need here. And since that's not a requirement, we can skip ahead to, skip over to the news articles and the magazine articles. Here's one on peer pressure leads to risky activities. Peer pressure, the power of peer pressure. Alcohol policy puts teens at risk. Some things like that. Let's look at peer factor. Okay, so this is talking about students, peer pressure, how peers affect their academic ability. My computer kind of froze up here. Well, sorry, I think my computer's kind of frozen here. Again, the challenges of technology sometimes.
Believe me, this morning.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. there's a place where I could make a comment.
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me there? I know my computer kind of froze up for a second there.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I unfortunately kind of froze up there for a second. Okay.
I may be having to rejoin you.
Okay.
All right, it's working. Okay, you can probably see me or not.
Yes. Yeah, I can see you. Uh-huh.
Got to do the join now thing. Okay, this should be good.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we've got the
All right. So again, here we had news here, and there's lots of things here. So again, yeah, something like peer pressure would be you know, probably a topic where they should be able to find something without too much trouble there. Some of these are from, you can see they're from different countries, so you might want to add in sometimes United States if you just want to focus on the US here. Okay. And we may want to add into, because this is, if we're talking about teenagers, we can put in teenagers. And again, this linking word and is how you add those additional terms to your search there. Yeah, peer group uniforms put pressure on teens. So that's another. So you should be able to find, like I said, for a lot of topics, you'll be able to find what you need without having to go out and try to look at web sources. So you should be able to find, especially when talking about news sources. And again, I mentioned magazines as well as another good option. Uh, Magazines.
okay.
So lots of different things you can look at here.
There, I've kind of a background noise in the class.
Oh, getting some feedback there.
Bad. I don't know what.
Yeah. I know. I don't know what maybe the connection or starting to have some problems. I don't know.
Okay. What? Can anybody stop? And what? Oh, evidently I have. Charlotte Shobi. This one? Is that better? Yay, okay. I just
All right.
want to check with my students to see if they, need any reminders or how to do. So y'all know that you probably need to do EBSCO, right? And I showed them Credo just because I think that little mind map was so cool, but
Oh
I don't
yeah,
think,
yeah. Credo is a really good place to is a good way to start your research process. It really will help you as far as breaking down topics and so forth. Yeah, it's a great thing to use when you're starting out your research. Yeah.
Okay, so you know the passwords and where to find them? You know how to
Okay,
search
yeah.
for
So for Credo, let me see. Let me go back here. Let's go to. All right, so for Credo, let's go back to the pod page here. All right, so let's go under, let's see, help guides. That one's a little more, you have to kind of dig for that one a little bit. We don't have that one listed. All right, so go into where it says Credo there, and then the login is listed here. You can see it there. It's that. So you for that you go under down under research help guides, And this is also, these help guides also talk about, how to, it kind of is a review of how to use that. So this also goes over how you can use Credo. Um, but that's kind of what you need to do. So for if it is a database that's outside of that, most of our databases are either Credo is one that's outside of that, but yeah, EBSCO, the login is here for a lot of the like Gale, ProQuest, the other things. This is going to be the login you need for that. JSTOR is different. You just click on the link here in the pod page. And then Credo does have its own login. Yes, it does. So you can find that under the help guide.
That would be great. Are you sure you don't want any more help? Anybody?
Yeah,
Just
any
figure out
other topics there?
They'll have to have some interesting topic. Want me to call on somebody? Okay, Peyton Pete. What is your topic? Just for an example. I couldn't hear you. Oh, American obesity or obesity in America.
Okay. Obesity. It's not giving us our little suggestions here. We'll look for obesity or obesity or weight loss.
I think she's probably looking for the issues that are coming from, or maybe the causes of.
Oh, causes of obesity. Okay. All right. Let's look at obesity and causes. All right. So for this, let's look at, let's see, either news or magazines would be good there.
There's 2,000 articles. So you would have
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. But that's good. But
Yeah. So
guys,
this one causes, these would be good ones here talking about obesity causes more cases of 4 common cancers than cigarettes. Obesity causes more deaths than smoking. Oh, there's a lot of different things there. Child obesity causes. And then we can also look at magazines as well. There'll be some good articles there. It's talking about, causes of weight gain to facilitate weight loss, causes and control of excess body fat. There's a lot of good stuff here. Yeah. So that's one you should be able to find quite a bit on that there.
okay, I think we're gonna let you go. Is that okay?
Okay. All right.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
everybody
fine.
wave and say thank you.
All right, thank you. And like I said, just let us know when you have questions. Remember the chat box here, which is on the pod page. It's also on our website. On the subject guide, you can email me as well there when you have questions. So, like I said, thank you. Yeah, let us know when you have questions as you're working on your assignment.
We would appreciate all your help you can give us. Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye bye now.
Okay, bye.
Tomorrow later. Yeah.